The burning sun of the North African desert cast long shadows across the endless dunes in 1942. Amid the swirling heat haze, a lone Messerschmitt Bf 109 appeared like a hawk in the sky. Its pilot was Hans-Joachim Marseille, a name that carried weight among both comrades and adversaries. Known as the Star of Africa, Marseille had become one of the most remarkable fighter pilots of the Second World War, earning admiration for his extraordinary flying skills and precise marksmanship. Yet behind the glamour of numbers and records lay the story of a young man who rose to fame in the most demanding of circumstances. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Many more fascinating tales from history are coming your way. Hans-Joachim Marseille was born on December 13, 1919, in Berlin-Charlottenburg. The son of a Prussian officer, he grew up in an environment shaped by discipline and duty, but also one where independence was highly valued. From a young age, Marseille displayed an adventurous spirit and a certain restlessness that sometimes clashed with traditional expectations. In 1938, at the age of 19, he joined the Luftwaffe as part of a new generation of pilots trained for modern aerial warfare. His early training revealed both promise and challenge. While his flying talent was undeniable, instructors noted that he was not always the most disciplined student. However, his natural instincts and reflexes set him apart. After completing his flight training, Marseille was assigned to Jagdgeschwader 52, where he began his career as a combat pilot. His first combat experiences came during the Battle of Britain in 1940. Flying over the English Channel, Marseille encountered seasoned opponents in the Royal Air Force. His results at the time were modest compared to later achievements, but these early battles sharpened his skills. Pilots who flew with him noticed his extraordinary eyesight and ability to anticipate enemy maneuvers, qualities that would later make him exceptional. By 1941, Marseille had been transferred to North Africa, a theater of war that would define his career. Serving with Jagdgeschwader 27 under the command of Eduard Neumann, Marseille was introduced to the harsh realities of desert warfare. The extreme heat, sandstorms, and lack of infrastructure created challenges not only for soldiers on the ground, but also for pilots in the air. Marseille quickly adapted to the environment. His Bf 109 became an extension of himself, and he began to refine a unique combat style. Unlike many pilots who relied on prolonged duels, Marseille specialized in rapid, precise attacks. He was known for his ability to hit opponents with minimal rounds, often downing an aircraft in a single burst. This efficiency earned him respect, but also drew attention from his enemies. In the desert skies, Marseille's reputation grew rapidly. By 1942, he had already established himself as one of the most successful pilots in the region. He developed strong camaraderie with his unit, but also maintained a sense of individuality. Colleagues described him as charismatic, sometimes unconventional, and deeply committed to his craft. His nickname, the Star of Africa, reflected both his skill and the admiration he inspired. Marseille's greatest achievements came in the summer of 1942. During a series of intense battles, he achieved an astonishing number of aerial victories, often against numerically superior forces. On September 1st, 1942, he recorded 17 victories in a single day, a feat that stood out even among the highest-scoring aces of the war. By the time of his death later that year, Marseille had 158 confirmed victories, almost all of them achieved in North Africa. His success was recognized at the highest levels. He was awarded the Knight's Cross with oak leaves, swords, and diamonds, one of the highest military honors in Germany at the time. Even among his adversaries, Marseille's reputation was acknowledged. Pilots of the Royal Air Force respected his skill, though they remained determined to counter the threat he posed. Despite the accolades, Marseille remained a young man in his early 20s. Friends recalled that he enjoyed music, particularly jazz, and often brought a sense of lightheartedness to his unit. This duality, the deadly efficiency of a fighter ace and the personality of a lively young man, made him a complex figure. On September 30th, 1942, fate caught up with Hans-Joachim Marseille. During a mission over Egypt, his aircraft suffered engine trouble. Unable to maintain control, Marseille was forced to bail out at low altitude. The attempt proved fatal, and he lost his life at only 22 years of age. His death was a shock to both his comrades and his adversaries. Within Jagdgeschwader 27, the loss of their most prominent pilot left a void that could not easily be filled. News of his passing spread quickly, and even among Allied pilots, there was recognition that one of the most skilled aviators of the war was gone. Marseille's short but extraordinary career became part of the broader narrative of the air war in North Africa. His story illustrated not only the capabilities of individual pilots, but also the human cost of relentless aerial combat. Hans-Joachim Marseille remains one of the most discussed figures among aviation historians. His record of 158 victories, combined with his unique flying style, has made him a subject of study and debate. While numbers and statistics capture his achievements, they cannot fully convey the complexity of his character. His story raises broader questions about the nature of heroism, talent, and mortality in times of conflict. Marseille was admired for his skill, but also remembered as a young man who loved music, friendship, and life itself. In this way, his story transcends military history and becomes a reminder of the human dimension behind the machinery of war. The story of Hans-Joachim Marseille is both extraordinary and tragic. It reflects the heights of individual skill and the fragility of life under the most extreme conditions. His legacy continues to fascinate because it embodies the tension between brilliance and vulnerability. The story of Hans-Joachim Marseille cannot be understood in isolation. His career unfolded during one of the most dynamic phases of the Second World War. The Desert War between the Axis forces under General Field Marshal Erwin Rommel and the British-led 8th Army. Air superiority was a crucial factor in this campaign, as vast distances and limited infrastructure meant that supply lines, reconnaissance, and battlefield support depended heavily on the Luftwaffe and the Royal Air Force. In this demanding environment, Marseille's achievements stood out. Unlike the crowded skies over Britain or the Eastern Front, the North African theater often featured small-scale engagements in which individual skill played a decisive role. The open desert provided little cover, and pilots had to rely entirely on maneuverability, visibility, and instinct. Marseille's extraordinary eyesight and ability to anticipate enemy movements made him ideally suited to this kind of warfare. His victories also reflected broader tactical adaptations. While other Luftwaffe units emphasized strict formations and teamwork, Marseille often employed fluid, improvisational tactics. His squadron leader, Eduard Neumann, later remarked that Marseille was an innovator who used his natural talents to find unconventional solutions. This independence occasionally brought him into conflict with more traditional commanders, but also made him highly effective in combat. Equally remarkable was the contrast between Marseille's combat efficiency and his off-duty personality. Unlike the stereotype of the stern, disciplined aviator, he was known for his humor, charm, and even rebellious streak. Comrades recalled that he often entertained his unit with piano playing or by singing jazz tunes. This love of music, especially jazz, was unusual in the cultural climate of the time, but became part of his distinct character. Marseille also displayed a sense of humanity that set him apart. Accounts from fellow pilots suggest that he treated captured enemy aviators with courtesy, sometimes even conversing with them after missions. These glimpses of his character reveal a young man who, despite the deadly nature of his profession, remained aware of the shared experiences of those on both sides of the conflict. At the same time, his youth was never far from the surface. Marseille was only in his early 20s during his peak years, and colleagues noted that he sometimes approached life with the recklessness and energy of someone who felt invincible. This blend of talent, charisma, and daring contributed to his legendary reputation, but also underscored the tragedy of his early death. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss future journeys into the past.